In the last class, we had gone through Sutras 46 to 50, wherein the teacher, over here the teacher is Narada himself, Sage Narada himself. He gave to us 12 points, rather instructions for our spiritual sadhana. If we accomplish it, but bhakti will get generated in us, or it will get reinforced in us, and we will be able to easily walk the path of bhakti and fulfill ourselves. Because the question was, who crosses over Maya? So therefore he had given us a list over there. And if these factors are there in a person, if they put it into practice, such a person will be able to cross over Maya. So that's where we had stopped. And in that entire section, Narada is talking about the highest form of bhakti, wherein we see knowledge, jnana, merging with bhakti, devotion. In Viveka Chudamani, Shankara says, he describes bhakti over there. What is bhakti? He says, Swaswarupa Anusandana. Anusandana means to connect, to get connected with, or to experience, constantly to experience. What should we constantly experience within ourselves? He says, your own true higher nature. And that should not come and go in intervals of time. It should be an unbroken experience within us, irrespective of place, time, occasion, circumstance, etc. So therefore, to experience our own higher nature, which means there are no two. Jivatma and Paramatma are one and the same. That Shankara calls as bhakti. Same thing over here Narada has been telling us through the last few sutras. So whatever section we went through last time, he is talking about that highest form of devotion, wherein, or if a spiritual seeker walks the path of devotion and is able to cultivate that sort of devotion which Narada is talking about, then mukti, moksha, enlightenment will happen to that person. He will become a Jivan Mukta. Wherein again, like I said, we don't have two. There are no two there. It's only one. So the devotee merges and becomes one with the Lord. After that, there are no two at all. That is what he spoke about. But still on this side, we want to know, what is this devotion? Can it be described? Can it be defined? Can it be explained? Obviously, that sort of a highest form of devotion cannot be described, cannot be explained to us, cannot be defined to us using ordinary words. That's what Narada says in Sutra number 51. He says, Anirvachaniyam Prema Swarupam. Swarupa means nature. Prema Swarupam means that nature of bhakti that Narada has been talking about till now. He says it is Anirvachaniyam. Vachana means words, to express using words. Anirvachaniyam means it can never be described. It is not explainable at all. Inexplainable, inexplicable is this highest form of devotion. If it can't be described, if it can't be explained in words, really can a person experience it? Yes, the person can experience it, but is not able to describe it. So that he says in the next sutra, Sutra 52, he says, he uses an example over there. He says, Mukha Swadanavat. Mukha means a dumb person. When we keep tasty food in front of a dumb person, and when that person eats the food, we know he or she has enjoyed it, because it shows on their face. The food was very tasty, the food was very good. They thoroughly enjoyed it. So it shows in their face. But if we ask them to explain how was the taste, they won't be able to explain it to us. Why? They are dumb. So though the experience is there, very much there, they have experienced it, they are reveling in it, but still they are unable to put it into words because they are dumb. Similar is the case of a man of devotion. He has realized the highest, he has experienced it, he is experiencing it every moment of his life because once it comes, it will never go away. We can see it in him, he is reveling in it, it shows on his face. But still, if we ask a master, please explain that highest state of devotion, they won't be able to explain it to us, just like a dumb person will not be able to explain to us what was the taste that he enjoyed and that he is reveling in. Dasaru, Purandara Dasaru has written a very beautiful Devarnama. Actually, the Devarnama starts like this: Haridasara Sanga Dorakitu Yenagiga Innenu Innenu. So he is in that Devarnama, he says, Mayada Samsara Mamakara Taggitu. Just what Narada has already told us now. Who crosses over Maya? Such and such a person crosses over Maya, who has accomplished in himself devotion. So he says, Mayada Samsara Mamakara Taggitu. Why? Because of the Sangha of Haridasaru. Earlier in the same Narada Bhakti Sutras, we saw the importance of Satsanga, and we were told at all costs we should leave behind Dussanga. Never get into the company of the evil or the bad. So therefore he says over here, Mayada Samsara Mamakara Taggitu. Why? The Lord's name is right now dwelling on my tongue, he says. It's there. On my tongue. It just doesn't mean it's there on his tongue. It's a way of saying that I'm experiencing this higher state every moment in my life. And he bursts into ecstasy. He says, Yenandu helali ananda sambrama. Those who know Kannada will understand. Yenandu helali ananda sambrama. Ananda means bliss. Sambrama. Celebration. Where is this celebration of bliss happening? Ecstasy happening? It's happening within himself. Can he put it into words? He can't put it into words. He's reveling in it, but he can't put it into words. He can't express it. But he says, Yenandu helali, what shall I say? How can I say what I am experiencing in my life right now, at this moment? That Ananda Sambrama of having attained the highest. Yenandu helali Ananda Sambram. So, yes, a person who has walked the path of devotion will realize it soon in time, will experience it, but if we ask them to put it into words, it's very, very difficult for them to define it and to describe it to us. How to describe what love is? Even the love that we all invest in things and in beings. How can we explain to somebody how much we love anybody in our house, whether it's our family member or a friend? How much do you love that person? Do you love that person? Yes. Very much we love that person. And when we are saying yes, in our face, it will be exhibited. And the person on the other side will really know that we love this person. Can you tell me how much you love? It's not possible at all. We can't measure it. We can't put that love into suitable words and describe to that person or communicate to that person how much we love that person. So even ordinary love to describe, to explain is very difficult. What to talk about the devotion to the Lord? Where there is no comparison at all between the love that we nurture and nourish for people around us and about us and the devotion to the Lord. This sort of a devotion, the highest form of devotion, is it available for everybody? No, it's not available for everybody. We should remember he is talking about this highest form of devotion, Advaita philosophy over here, where the person completely, after experiencing, merges with the altar which he was seeking till now. So this is Advaita over here. Advaita, Bhakti in Advaita. So is this sort of a devotion available to everybody? Narada says in the 53rd Sutra, Prakashate Kwapi Patre. He says Prakashate means this sort of a devotion, yes, we can see it in few people, Kwapi, in rare cases, maybe in a 1 in a million. We know masters are not there by dozens in front of us. Very rare we have great masters, saints, sages, prophets. So therefore he says, in some rare cases, yes, we can see this sort of a devotion expressing through them. But that Persepatre, he says, means they should have already become a fit recipient for devotion to enter into them. Means prerequisites. There are some conditions which we have to cultivate within us earlier, so that we become fit vessels to receive this sort of a love or devotion towards the Lord. Our mind, our inner equipment must become a fit vessel. Supposing the milkman comes, he has brought milk. We take a vessel to bring the milk in. The vessel must be fit. It should be clean. If it is still dirty, if it's not cleaned, then we know when the milk is poured into it, no doubt it is fresh milk, good milk. It is not stale. But the fresh milk also, if we put it into a vessel which has not been cleaned earlier, we know what will happen to the milk. The milk will get spoiled. Similarly also, for us to be able to engage in this sort of a higher devotion, some little adjustments have to be done within ourselves, physically, mentally and intellectually. We must become fit. If a student has to enter into medicine, that student should have gone through in the PUC biology. Without taking in biology as an option, he or she cannot enter into medicine. So it's like that. Science has to be taken. So there are certain conditions which have to be already fulfilled within us, so that it becomes easy for us to enter into the next level or the next stage. Therefore, Narada is telling us over here, yes, this sort of a devotion, though it's difficult, it is rare, it can't be described, but it can be experienced. Will it be available to everybody? He says, no, it won't be available to everybody, but it will be available. We can see this sort of a devotion being expressed in some rare cases, in some rare equipment, in some rare personalities who have already become fit, who already done little sadhana, preliminaries already have been taken care of. Then it becomes very, very easy, is what he said. So yes, it is rare, but it is not impossible, is what Narada is telling us over here. This highest form of devotion, again he is describing, though it can't be described, though it can't be defined, yet the teacher is coming down to our level. He started with, it can't be described, it is inexplicable, one cannot explain it, one cannot define it, one cannot describe it. But still over here, because we want somebody to come down to our level and tell us something about devotion. Otherwise, there is no hope for us walking the path. At least thinking about it first before walking the path. Therefore, in the 54th Sutra over here, the teacher is explaining to us this highest form of devotion. It has already been described using different words earlier. Just when we started the Narada Bhakti Sutra right in the beginning, this bhakti, nature of bhakti was described by Narada. So some of them are repetitions. So in the 54th Sutra, the teacher says, he is explaining this highest form of devotion. So what is it? It is of the nature guna rahitam, kamana rahitam, pratikshana vardhamanam, avichinnam, sukshmataram, anubhava rupam. All are an attempt to describe the indescribable. All are an attempt to define the indefinable. Why is the teacher even attempting it? Because of his compassion for all of us. We need to know something at least about devotion. So the teacher is coming down to our level, using words. This devotion is beyond words, can't be explained. It can only be experienced. But still he is using words to explain it to us or to describe it. What is it? Guna Rahitam. Earlier we have seen the teacher brought in the gunas over there. So guna means the three gunas, the play of the gunas in each one of us. So therefore this bhakti that he is talking about transcends all gunas. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. It is beyond the gunas. So nirgunatva state is what the teacher is talking about. Does it mean when we have gunas, bhakti is not possible for us? He will deal with it in the next section. In the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord talks about the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So, and all of us are a combination of all these three gunas, different permutation and combination. All of us have Sattva in us, Rajas in us and Tamas in us. Does it mean we don't have bhakti in us? We do have bhakti in us. That bhakti is different from what he is talking about over here. So yes, we are all composed of these three gunas. We do have love for the Lord. We are practicing devotion in our own way. The Lord acknowledges all types of devotees. So there he deals with people who are predominantly sattvic in nature, predominantly rajasic in nature, predominantly tamasic in nature. And then Bhagavan shifts and he talks about a person who has transcended all the gunas. One who has transcended all the gunas, he says, such a person has reached me and become me myself. So nirgunatva over there, which is nothing but the state of Jivan Mukti, which is nothing but the state of bhakti or devotion which the teacher is talking about over here. So therefore when we read this 54th sutra, we must remember that Narada is talking about the highest form of devotion, unconditional devotion, where the person merges to become, he walked the path of love, to reach love, God is love, and became love itself. That is what he is talking about over here. So therefore, guna rahitam, it is completely devoid of all attributes. Why? Where gunas are, automatically our devotion becomes a little gross. It won't be subtle. Why? Because of the play of the gunas. Even if it is sattvic desires can be there. Rajasic, of course, rajasic type of desires will be there. Tamasic desires will be there. And we are not just only sattvic or rajasic or tamasic. We are a combination of all the three. So it's highly complicated. So here he is talking about a person who is absolutely devoid of all attributes. No sattva, no rajas, no tamas. He has reached the state of attributelessness, the nirgunatva state. So therefore, gunarahitam, this devotion that Narada is talking about, is beyond the gunas. Therefore, it becomes kamana rahitam. Where gunas are, desires will immediately come into play. We all have come with samskaras, prarabdha, vasanas we have come with. And what is samskaras or prarabdha or vasanas? It is nothing but the play of the three gunas. Therefore, where gunas are, where prarabdhas, where vasanas are, automatically desires will be there. We won't enter into what sort of desires, but desires will be there. And in a Jivan Mukta, all desires have completely exited from him. No desire whatsoever at all in him. Only such a person is called as a Jivan Mukta. No, not even good desires in him. But then we see him working amidst us, maybe establishing institutions, maybe doing social work, maybe uplifting the society, From our standpoint, it looks like he's got desires, but he doesn't have desires. Why? No gunas in him. Gunarahitam he is. He has become a Jivan Mukta. Therefore, where gunas are there in him, where are there desires in him, but still if we see him functioning over there, it's Lord's will functioning through him. He is not performing any activities like how we perform activities. Activities just flow out of him. When will things flow? It will only flow from a higher level to a lower level. It is there at a higher level. We allow it to flow to a lower level, whatever it is, water it can be. So similarly, the higher works through this person's equipment. So it's a Lord's will that is functioning through a master. He has just allowed his equipment to be used by the Lord. Therefore, even he himself sees his body working. And what is it? And why is it working? Bhagavan's will. Bhagavan is using his equipment to fulfill whatever he wants to fulfill. So therefore, activities flow out of him. There is a huge difference between saying performing activities and activities flowing out of a person. Over there, it is spontaneous, effortless, instantaneous, and once that activity is over, the master just shuts off himself from there. He is not looking for karma pala over there. He just moves ahead. We are not like that. We get stuck in the karma, we get stuck in the karma pala. So therefore, once this gunarahita devotion has come into play in a person, automatically he will be totally free from all desires whatsoever. Kamana rahitam. No desires at all in him at all. The nature of this higher form of devotion is being described to us. Pratikshana. Kshana means minute. Pratikshana means every minute. What is happening to it? Vardhamanam. It is increasing and increasing and increasing. Again, it is just to explain to us, that's all. Because a person who has reached that changeless state, in him how can devotion keep increasing? Increasing means there is change over there. It's just a way of saying, it's for all of us to understand. When we start walking the path sincerely, consistently, regularly, slowly the devotion in us will keep increasing and keep increasing and keep increasing. Faith also will come in. 7th chapter, Bhagavan tells us. So that faith in us will reinforce the devotion in us. And the devotion in us will in turn reinforce the faith in us. And therefore, with that faith and with that devotion, Shraddha and Bhakti, we will slowly be able to progress on our spiritual path. And we will slowly progress faster also. That's the meaning of Pratikshana Vardhamana. Every moment it is of the nature of increasing and increasing and increasing. So the love for the Lord, the devotion for the Lord, or it can be devotion to the Guru. From our standpoint, we can say, yes, it is increasing. It's becoming more and it's becoming more and it's becoming more. That feeling itself will give us so much of fulfillment and satisfaction. Avicchinnam, unbroken it is. It's not like our type of devotion. Monday we go to Shiva temple. And then what happens? Up till the next Monday we forget Shiva also. I'm just giving examples. Or Saturday we do a Vishnu Sahasranama. After that we completely forget about it. We are totally disconnected from the glories of the Lord. So that means there are breaks over there. There are intervals over there where we take it up and then drop it. We take it up again and drop it. Whatever be the reason. This is not like that at all. Avichinna means constant it is, unbroken it is. They say Nitya Nirantara Ishvara Chintana. It can be Saguna or it can be Nirguna. So unbroken it is. So when a master is functioning, because a master is one in whom this devotion has fulfilled itself. A master is one or a guru is one in whom jnana has fulfilled itself. So even when they are working amongst us for our own betterment, to lift us up at least a little, they're moving around with us, they're working over there, they're talking over there, they're exhausting themselves from our standpoint. Still within themselves, how is it? Avichinna it is. Unbroken, constantly they are connected with, rooted with, or rooted in the higher, which they have realized. There is never even a millionth of a second where they are disconnected from what they are. That is what is meant by God-centered. So all our work we should be doing God-centered. That is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. Or Brahman-centered. Or if we are comfortable with Saguna, Rama-centered or Shiva-centered, Devi-centered. So though we are doing whatever we are doing, even if it is materialistic pursuits, our day-to-day routine, activity, etc., within ourselves, we should constantly be connected to the higher in us. It's like how a musician is singing over there in a concert. Different songs she will sing, composed by different composers, different ragas, different talas. Everything is completely different. But the background shruti is always the same. And she or he, the musician, is always connected with it. We may not even be able to hear it because they are singing over the mic. We hear only their voice and the accompanying instruments. But the musician is always connected to that shruti over there. Sometimes they will, after a song, pause to again readjust the tambura. We do not know why, what happened to it. But they are 100% connected to it. So Shruti-centered, a musician will perform, will sing. Similarly, a master who has realized, or a bhakta, is always connected to the Lord, God-centered, Brahman-centered and functioning. So there is no break at all. So avicchinnam is the word used over here. Unbroken it is. It just flows. Or the person is so well rooted, grounded, well established in his realization. Come what may from the world outside, nothing can happen to him. He never ever loses touch of what he is, or what he experienced and what he is experiencing even now. So even when they are functioning and working amongst us, he is constantly experiencing that higher state within himself. So that touch, that contact will never be lost. Just as when we switch on a light, electricity is constantly in touch with the bulb. Even for a millionth of a second, if there is a disconnect, the bulb will go off. Constantly it is. We do not know how it is happening, but yes, it's happening. So therefore, avicchinnam, unbroken, constant it is, without any breaks. Sukshmataram, it is extremely subtle, because we can't see it all outside. It is not something gross where the master can demonstrate it to us. Some experiments are there which we study in the class, physics class or the chemistry class, and then the teacher takes us to the lab and demonstrates it to us, whatever was taught in the theory class. Gross it is. But there are certain things which can't be demonstrated even in a physics lab. Einstein's theory of relativity. How can it be demonstrated? It's so abstract, conceptual it is. So very difficult it is. So why sukshmatara? Very, very subtle. That's why the teacher started with, it can't be explained, it can't be described. So sukshmataram, if all these words are used to describe devotion, we feel, I don't think it is experienceable by us. Maybe it can't be experienced by anybody. Why? It is guna rahitam, kamana rahitam. In us, desires just never end, good or bad. And pratikshana vardamanam avicchinnam sukshmataram, this bhakti that the teacher is talking about, can it be really experienced by all of us? The teacher says, yes, it can be experienced. Therefore, he uses the word anubhava rupam. It is a form of immediate experience. It can be experienced, but maybe we can't put it into words and describe it to somebody else. But it can be experienced. And all our great saints, our masters, our rishis, prophets, gurus, they all have experienced it. But if we ask them to describe it to us, so have you realized? They say that you have realized. Brahman you have realized, which means bhakti fulfilled. Can you explain it to us? First of all, they will never even answer that question, have you realized? How can they even say or communicate it to us? Have you realized? We are asking in space and time. So to tell us something, he or she must be there, but that he and she has already disappeared in the highest realization. So who is there to come back and tell us, yes, I have realized? So therefore they just become of that experience itself. They themselves become the experience. It's not that they're experiencing something. They become of the nature of experience itself. To indicate that to us, in Sutra 55, the teacher says, Tat prapya, tat eva avalokayati, tadeva shrunoti, tadeva bhashayati, tadeva chintayati. Once having realized that highest state, herein we are talking about bhakti. We already know now a bhakta is a jnani and a jnani is a bhakta. So therefore both of them come into the picture at one and the same time. Highest form of devotion is nothing but the highest spiritual knowledge. Having experienced it, not having read about it or heard about it from the teacher. After listening to the teacher, after doing manana, after sitting down in meditation, the person has experienced within himself what the teacher taught him in the class. So that knowledge over there, spiritual knowledge. So after having experienced that spiritual knowledge, or after having experienced this highest form of devotion, what happens to that person? He or she has reached that supremost love. Because we are talking about bhakti over here. After having done that, what will that bhakta do? Afterwards, he's got no other work. Tat eva avalokayati. Avalokana means to see. See is not with the eyes. Afterwards, he is seeing, he is experiencing, he is comprehending nothing but the highest devotion everywhere around him and about him. And what is that highest devotion? It is nothing but Paramatma. We can call it Shiva, we can call it Rama, Krishna, Devi or Brahman. So wherever he looks out, because he is still in his physical equipment, the master. So outside of him and inside of him, it is all Sarvam Brahmamayam Jagat. That's what this means. Afterwards, he will never ever think that we are all separate from him. He is the Guru and we all students, Shishyas, sitting in front of him, and he is going to give us the knowledge of bhakti, or he is going to talk about knowledge or bhakti, whatever it is. He is going to advise us, guide us. That is all from our standpoint. From the master's standpoint, there is no Guru, there is no Shishya. Then what is there? There is only one. Even though the teacher is teaching us all, so I said rooted in that. He only sees Brahman everywhere. We all Shishyas, he is seeing only Brahman everywhere. He is not seeing Shishyas like each one of us individual. Name, form, character. In and through the names, the forms are different, names are different. We all have different characteristics and qualities. Each one of us have got our own career and profession. No two of us are the same. But from the master's standpoint, nothing but Brahman and Brahman alone everywhere. Or only Narayana everywhere. Sarvam Narayanamaya Jagat. Or Sarvam Krishnamayam Jagat. So even if he is connecting with any of us, even if he is talking with any of us, he is telling us something, he sees only Narayana in and through that person. He goes beyond their form, beyond their name, beyond their characteristics and whatever they are doing. It's only Brahman and Brahman and Brahman alone. Or it is only Narayana and Narayana and Narayana alone. So therefore over here this sutra which says after that, tat eva means only he sees and sees who on one and only one. What is it? Brahman. Nothing else he sees, nothing else he feels, nothing else he comprehends. Though from our standpoint, master is engaged in talking to different people or doing different things. Tat eva shrunoti. He only hears what? He only hears Bhagavan. He only hears the auspiciousness. We may be making noise, but in and through that, it's only auspiciousness that reaches him, because he knows how to filter away all that which is not necessary. We have spoken whatever we wanted to speak at our level. So it may be gossip, it can be some words which are not very important, something which is, the contents is not important. It may be some noise. He knows how to just filter it all away. Why? Sound is gross. He has gone beyond the gross and has established himself in the subtlest of the subtlest, Sukshmataram. So there, in the subtle, there is no place or accommodation for the gross. Automatically it gets filtered away. So what reaches him? Only auspiciousness reaches him. And what is it that reaches him? What reaches him is what he is what he is experiencing every moment in his life. Therefore, tat eva, tat means that devotion or that Brahman or that Narayana. So Narayana alone he sees, Narayana alone he feels, Narayana alone he comprehends, Narayana alone he hears. Even though all of us are speaking, it's only Narayana. Tat eva shrunoti, tadeva bhashayati. Whatever he speaks, it's not he who is speaking. Then who is speaking? Narayana is speaking through him. That's exactly what Krishna wanted Arjuna to do. Nimitta matra, he says. You just surrender to me. That's all. And you just do what you're supposed to do with your equipment. Everything will get taken care of. I will work through you. So whatever you are doing, you lifting up the bow, you placing the arrow in the right place, you releasing the arrow, maybe you talking to somebody, everything becomes me, is what Krishna is saying. It's only me who is going to function. The war was not won by the Pandavas. The war was won by Krishna without lifting even one weapon. That's the beauty of Kurukshetra war. And war doesn't only mean war in that sense. Anything in our life, our life's battle, every moment there is conflict in our lives, inside the house, outside the house. So it's like a small little war. It can be anywhere. In the kitchen it can be, in the hall it can be, anywhere it can be. In the office it can be. All conflicts are nothing but war only. So if we want to win over these conflicts or war, we just have to do what Arjuna did, or rather what Krishna told Arjuna to do. You just surrender unto me. I am the one who is really fighting the battle through you. So nobody sees Krishna fighting over. In fact, he doesn't lift even one weapon over there. They all see Arjuna doing everything there. He is the one who is fighting it out, sweating it out, getting exhausted. Krishna is just smiling and sitting over there and driving the chariot. But the whole battle was won by Krishna. He is the one who really fought without exhausting himself. That who knows? Only a master knows. Why? Because they've got completely identified with, associated with Anusandhana, with their own higher nature, which is nothing but Bhagavan. In our cases, we are the ones who are sweating it out and toiling and getting exhausted, etc. Because I and mine is working through us, in and through us. So, Tadeva Bhashayati, he alone speaks. Who is speaking? Bhagavan alone is speaking. Tadeva Chintayat. Constantly he is only thinking and thinking and thinking about that. Actually, he is not thinking. He has become what he was thinking. He was thinking of the Lord, now he has become the Lord himself. So what is there to think about him? But how to put it to us? How to make us understand? The teacher is coming down to our level and saying, he thinks only about that. All our masters. So therefore, they are overwhelmed by the highest state, which has completely, from inside and from outside, overwhelming is the right word. They are completely in it. Inside of them and outside of them, everywhere it is only the Lord, Brahman and Brahman and Brahman alone, or Narayana and Narayana and Narayana alone. The gopis are the best example over here. Everything from their standpoint, they never ever did anything, but they were doing every day from morning till evening. They were going through their daily activities. So from our standpoint, but from their standpoint, they were not doing anything at all. It was all Sarvam Krishnamayam Jagat for them. Everything was Krishna and Krishna and Krishna for them. They saw Krishna everywhere. So in the cows they saw him, in the calves they saw him, in the milk that they milked, they saw Krishna. When they put the milk to boil, they saw Krishna over there. Fire is Krishna, vessel is Krishna. And yesterday's curds, when they bring it out to churn, curds is Krishna. The churning rod is Krishna. They themselves have become Krishna. They've handed over themselves to Krishna. Just like Arjuna hands over himself to Krishna at the end of the Bhagavad Gita. So it's Lord who is churning the curds over there to get the butter out. She is not doing it. She is lost in Tadeva Chintayati. She is completely contemplating on the Lord. So somebody, he takes over her activity. So it's not Gopi who is churning, but it is Krishna who is churning it. And when the butter comes out also, this is Advaita state. What is the butter? Butter also is nothing but Krishna alone. So where is there even a second? Dvaita itself is not there. It's all one without a second over there. So everywhere it was only Krishnamayam Jagat for them all. The word Gopi itself means the Gopika when we say. Go means knowledge. Now we know knowledge is equivalent to bhakti. P means to drink. Ka means sukha, ananda. So Gopika means one who is reveling in. And just now we saw the word reveling in. Reveling in what? Reveling in the highest devotion to the Lord. They all had become Krishna himself. That is why there is a small little incident, not in the Bhagavad, but during Bhagavad Saptaha they do mention it. Krishna and Radha were there. What did they do? They switched roles. They exchanged clothes. So Krishna wore the clothes of Radha and Radha wore the clothes of Krishna. What does it mean? From our standpoint it looks very funny. Why should Krishna wear the clothes of a girl? And why should Radha be wearing the clothes of Krishna, a boy? It's not wearing the clothes over there. It's becoming one over there. Both of them are one. They are not two. To indicate that to us is the small little incident over there. There is no he, there is no she. There is no clothes beyond that. It's just only one. So that has been indicated in the Sutra 55 over here. When the T means that and that alone. After realization, the one who walked the spiritual path becomes Brahman, becomes of the nature of bhakti, becomes of the nature of spiritual knowledge. And after that, he thinks, he sees, he talks, everything, he hears. Everything which is only Brahman and Brahman and Brahman and Brahman. This is the highest state that a person can reach. Beyond that, there is nothing at all to reach. Once this state has been reached, total fulfillment over. So therefore this line of thought ends with Sutra 55. In the next Sutra 56, the teacher is going to talk about the conditioned bhakti. Now we all know what unconditioned bhakti is, or that bhakti which the teacher was talking about till Advaita. Swaswarupa Anusandhana is bhakti. When Shankara says, that is the bhakti that the teacher was talking about till now. Completely, totally identified with, connected with, rooted in, established in, centered in our own real nature, our own real higher nature. Where is it? Not outside of us, but within ourselves. To connect with that constantly is the fulfillment of bhakti. Highest type. But the majority of us are not qualified for it. That's why the teacher very honestly said, it is very rare. Some fit ones who have already brought in some discipline within themselves, or the preliminary conditions have already been fulfilled within themselves, they will be able to successfully walk this path. For the majority of us, it is the other type of devotion, conditioned devotion. Is that also allowed? That also is allowed. In the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan tells there are 4 types of devotees. I acknowledge all of them as devotees. It's not only the highest type, which till now Narada was talking about. He is talking about a jnani, whom we are now terming as a bhakta, Narada. So Narada's bhakta is Narada's jnani, Krishna's jnani in the Bhagavad Gita. So there are 4 types of bhaktas. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, all of them he endorses, he acknowledges. Why? Because of the gunas that are there. Earlier we saw gunarahitam is this bhakti. Our type of bhakti is gunabharitam. Full of gunas it is. So based on our gunas, based on what we are longing for from the Lord, we are practicing our devotion. All of us. So we have come down, the teacher has come down to our zone, our level. And he is talking about our devotion. So in the 56th Sutra, the teacher says, Gauni Tridha Guna Bedat Artadi Bedat Va. Va means or. Means this or that. So Gauni Tridha means 3 types. What are the 3 kinds? Gauni means lower type, secondary. It doesn't mean we are all practicing lower type of bhakti. It doesn't mean that at all. It means conditioned, that's all. In the bhakti that we are all practicing, that bhakti is filled with gunas. Therefore, desires are there. Gunas are there, desires will be there. What the desire will be will depend on our own constitution. But Krishna never says that they are all not my devotees at all. He acknowledges all of us, so we can feel consoled. So therefore, the second type or the lower, when we say lower or the second type, in quotes it is, because it is not inferior bhakti which the teacher is talking about. It just means it is not that highest form of devotion where there is merger taking place, where the devotee merges and becomes one with the Lord, and afterward there are no 2 at all. So to differentiate that type of a devotion from the type of devotion which we majority are practicing, he calls it as lower. Gauni means lower or secondary, not primary. But in no way is it inferior. So we should not consider it as inferior devotion at all, because Krishna is acknowledging all of us. So why are these 3 type of devotion? Why the 3 types? Why is it called as lower? Why is it called as conditioned love or conditioned bhakti? The teacher himself is saying over here, because it is guna bedat, because of the variety of gunas that are there in us. Though there are 3, sattva, rajas and tamas, permutations and combinations are different. Our mental disposition each moment is so different. Even in our own lives it is different moment to moment. In satsang we are predominantly sattvic. When we are feeling very sleepy, we are predominantly tamasic in nature. So every moment our mental disposition is different. The permutation and combination of these three gunas is different, and from person to person also it changes. So therefore he says this type of this type of bhakti, which the majority of us are all practicing, he says it's all Veda means differences. It's all different because of the mental disposition, because of the gunas playing in us, the permutation and combination of these three, and also arthadi vedat, because of the longing that is there in us. In the 7th chapter, Bhagavan says over there, 4 types of devotee. Artha, ones who are longing for something, ones who are crying for something, ones who are earnestly longing for something. That longing can be, Bhagavan, I am in trouble, I am in crisis, or I am in pain. It can be physical pain, it can be mental agony. Whatever it is, I am crying out to you, please save me. The highest is, I feel stuck, I feel bound, I feel conditioned, I feel limited as a mortal being. I want you to help me to move to that higher state, that state of total freedom, means Jivan Mukti state. That also is a crying out only. See, gross is there, subtle also is there. So Artha means one who is crying out, pleading to the Lord to save him from whatever they are stuck in. It can be physical, it can be mental, it can be intellectual, it can be spiritual. I feel tied up, the bondages of samsara. I feel conditioned. I want you to help me to cross over the ocean of samsara. Means, please come and cut these bondages and make me free, so that I can enjoy that state of absolute freedom, which is Jivan Mukti. So there also Artha comes in. Jignasu, one who is craving for knowledge. Knowledge and devotion, we have already seen, they come together. One who is craving to enter into the branch of, let's say, physics or chemistry or math. Why? They've got a love towards that subject. If the student doesn't have love for mathematics, they will not want any knowledge with respect to the branch of mathematics. If their love is towards commerce, they will only enter into the commerce stream. So their love for the knowledge will make them enter into. So Jignasu, that also worldly objective knowledges up to spiritual knowledge. The range is very, very large. Scope is large. See, each one of us is so different from each other. Artharthi. Artha means, actually it means wealth. Means anything that we want in our lives, which we will hope that it gives to us comfort, some happiness. So Artharthi means longing for wealth. That wealth is not restricted only to material wealth. Health, it can be anything, it can be. Strength, it can be. Whatever it is, we want it. And to whom are we praying? We are praying to the Lord. So each one of us has got our own longings. No two of us will long for the same thing. When two of us go to the temple to pray to the Lord, each one of us will ask what we want. And why will we ask two different things? Because our gunas are also different. But it is conditioned bhakti. Why we are not seeking the highest? Wherein we just want only to merge with the Lord and become Him. We want to stay away from the Lord and then express our love to Him, devotion to Him, and ask Him for whatever we want, and He will fulfill it also for us. Directly or indirectly. Ultimately, whatever we get in our lives is all Bhagavan only will bring it to our lives through maybe some channel. Why? Yoga and Kshema is only His responsibility. We feel He did it for me, she did it for me. I asked and therefore they did it, therefore I am obliged to that person. Ultimately, it is only Lord giving us whatever we want through different channels and in different ways. So therefore over there, all of us are His devotees only. Instead of going to this person and that person, we all have reached out to the Lord. And we are all asking of him to fulfill whatever is our shortcoming. Desires are there. This highest form of devotion which Narada talked about in the earlier section was Gunarahitam, Kamana-rahitam. No desires. Why? No gunas. Why? In him there is no prarabdha at all. Vasanas all exhausted. What will he ask for? He is reveling in that higher state. He has become that. In our case, it is not like that. So we are all made up of gunas. We are a combination of gunas. Therefore, we have all desires in us. And because of those desires in us, we have approached the Lord. Through bhakti only. That devotion, the teacher is calling it as lower. Lower means lesser type, that's all. Conditioned bhakti it is all. So he is talking about the devotion which we are all familiar with also. And then in Sutra number 57, the teacher says, Uttarasmat Purva Purva Shreyaya Bhavati. So he says, each one of them is better. He places all of them in hierarchy because he said 3 kinds. When there are 3 kinds, one must be the best, one must be so-so in the middle, and one must be a little lower than the other one. So each one is better than the other. Each one is better than the other. We'll make it very simple over there. The lowest type where, yes, sattva may be there, rajas also may be there, but more of tamas is there. And we have approached the Lord with those particular desires in us. Why? Gunas are like that. But we have approached the Lord through bhakti only. So the lowest type. So slowly, lesser and lesser of tamas, lesser and lesser of rajas, more and more of sattva. The teacher is saying each one is better than the other, better than the other, better than the other. So therefore, even in our conditioned bhakti, there is a journey for all of us. So in the beginning, yes, everything will be desire prompted. Only when desires are there, we will run to the temple. Examination time. At that point of time, children will come to the temple. Will you come? Yes, I'll come. Why? Exam is there. So I'll come with you, mummy, I'll come with you, daddy, and then we will break one coconut over there. Why? Examination. So it starts from there. If there is nothing for us to ask of the Lord, will you just come with me to the temple? Most of us will say, why should I come to the temple? I've got no demand. So where there are desires, again, varieties are there. Where desires are there, we will run to the Lord. Where there are no desires, we will feel, why should I go to the temple? Nothing for me to ask. But there are people, spiritually matured, who just go to the temple. I'm talking about Saguna, who just go over there, just to revel in the glory that they see around them and about them. The decoration, the puja, the festivity, the celebration. You came to the temple, yes. Why did you come? Was there anything, a desire in you? No desire at all. No desire, you come to the temple, yes. I go every day to the temple, just to see him. And then come back. So like that, we can put them all one level above the other. So even in us also, so all of us, therefore the teacher says over here, slowly we have to rise. We can't do it overnight. So in the beginning, yes, all of us will go only when we have desire prompted activities we want to do. Why? Because we want to fulfill the desires, therefore our bhakti work. Slowly from there, we should continue to work. Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga. No I, no mine, no desire prompted activities. But we are still doing activities there. Activities are there. Are there desires? No desires. When there are no desires, I and mine will be functioning minimum. Immediately that entire activity becomes a yajna. It becomes a worship of the Lord. Puja it becomes. Yajna. Ya means to move forward. Nya means with knowledge. With knowledge we are moving forward. With devotion we are moving forward. We are doing something. Activity is still happening. But it is different. It's not a karma which will bind. It will be a karma which will help us to exhaust our vasanas. Bhakti comes in there. Jnana comes in there. So that sort of a person is much better than a person who's only desire prompt, who's doing only activities desire prompted. So there also slowly we have to grow. Slowly all our desire prompted activity should end. Everything must become selfless. Overnight we will not become 100% selfless. So as we are moving from selfishness to selflessness, it's all in grades only. Slowly we are walking. Step by step, slowly we are doing. So what we were probably, I'm just giving an example, 5 years back or 1 year back, after having entered into the teachings of our masters, of our gurus, slowly we start moving ahead. It's very slow, but slowly we are walking the path. More and more maturity, more and more we are progressing on our spiritual path, moving ahead and moving higher and higher. So therefore the teacher says over here, slowly each step that we have taken higher is much better than the lower step, obviously. So therefore we slowly climb up the ladder of evolution with respect to bhakti and jnana. So with this, the 57th sutra is over. The 58th sutra we will take up in the next class.